He turned penny stocks into millions, spent less than 2 years behind bars, then Hollywood paid him to tell his story. This is how Jordan Belfort scammed everyday Americans, walked away rich, and somehow became famous for it. The craziest part? We made him a celebrity. Queens, New York, 1962. A blue-collar neighborhood where hard work meant something, and getting ahead was a long shot. But there was this one kid who didn't buy into limitations. Jordan Belfort. He wasn't interested in playing it safe. One ice, please. Tell you what. 2 for the price of 1 if you bring me 3 customers. How old are you even? 16. And I'm going to be wealthy. That summer, the teenager pulled in $20,000 peddling frozen treats. While other kids his age were wasting money on cars and clothes, Jordan enrolled in dental school. Seemed like the right move, until day 1. The dean stood before the incoming class with brutal honesty. Anyone here chasing money? You picked the wrong career. Jordan didn't hesitate, got up from his seat, walked straight out the door. Because he wasn't there to fix cavities. He was there to get wealthy, and this wasn't going to cut it. Next move? Meat. Sounds weird, but after college, Jordan started selling steaks and seafood door to door, literally knocking on doors with frozen beef. What exactly are you selling? Premium quality beef, ma'am. Flash frozen, no hormones, better prices than anywhere in town. I don't eat beef. Perfect. Check out these salmon fillets. Messy business. Chaotic, but it worked. $100 grand monthly in revenue with zero infrastructure. Just Jordan, hustling hard, literally hauling melting meat around in his car. But problems piled up fast. Missed deliveries, spoiled inventory, bills everywhere. The whole thing collapsed within months. But Jordan discovered something crucial in that failure. The product never mattered. Steaks, sneakers, stocks, whatever. He realized he could move anything. The salesman inside him was born. He didn't need better products. He needed bigger paychecks. So he headed to Wall Street, got hired at L.F. Rothschild, a legitimate brokerage where suits were expensive and substances were everywhere. Welcome to the 1980s. This is where Jordan tasted real wealth, real ambition, and real corruption. He learned how markets operated, how traders spoke, and most critically, how to close deals. Then October 1987 hit, Black Monday. Markets imploded. Jordan got fired. But while everyone else panicked, Jordan spotted an opening. He found penny stocks, worthless pink sheet companies that legitimate brokers wouldn't touch, unregulated, risky. But here's the key: 50% commissions. Same sales pitch, 10 times the profit. No fancy credentials required, just a phone and fast talking. So Jordan dialed up some unsuspecting guy in the Midwest. Listen carefully. This company's small right now, sure, but they're sitting on technology that's about to revolutionize an entire industry. We're talking ground floor access before the IPO, completely under Wall Street's radar. The major players haven't caught wind yet. When they do, explosive growth. 10 times your investment, minimum. Get in now at $1 per share, and 6 months later, you're calling me from your vacation home in Hawaii. I'm locking you in for 4,000 shares. We good? I'm not sure I understand what this company does. You don't need to understand the company. You need to understand the opportunity. Smart investors act before everyone else figures it out. You want to be first or read about it in magazines later wishing you'd listened. $4,000. One phone call. No regulations, no oversight, no limits. Just cold calling and pure manipulation. He'd found his kingdom. If you're finding this story insane, hit that subscribe button because there's more coming that'll blow your mind. 1989. Jordan was ready to scale up, and he found the perfect partner, Danny Porish, a fast-talking, hard-partying hustler from Long Island who looked like he'd just walked out of a nightclub. He wasn't sophisticated. Some days he barely seemed professional, but he could close deals. Jordan recognized something valuable: hunger, dedication, zero conscience. Together, they were explosive. Jordan brought vision. Danny brought mayhem. From that chaos, they created their empire. Welcome to Stratton Oakmont. The name sounded prestigious, like old money and century-old traditions. Reality, a strip mall office with bad lighting, cheap furniture, and absolutely no regulatory supervision. The first hires weren't finance professionals. They weren't even qualified. bartenders, college dropouts, street hustlers. But Jordan didn't want experience. He wanted hunger. He didn't need analysts. He needed closers. Then came training. Jordan created something he called straight-line persuasion, a psychological manipulation technique designed to transform nervous rookies into high-pressure sales machines. He taught them to crush hesitation, eliminate doubt, and move prospects from hello to where do I wire money in one continuous conversation. The office became electric, phones constantly ringing, money constantly flowing. Energy was addictive. Egos exploded. Profits skyrocketed. But Stratton's real genius wasn't just the sales technique. It was target selection. They went after forgotten investors, working-class retirees, desperate parents, people traditional Wall Street ignored. Stratton sold them hope wrapped in urgency, backed by fake projections. First, they pushed obscure penny stocks, pink sheet garbage from companies that barely existed outside press releases. Once money started rolling in, the schemes evolved. Now it wasn't just fake companies, real IPOs. They'd buy massive blocks of cheap shares, then turn the sales floor into a hype machine. Call after call, promise after promise. They flooded markets with manufactured excitement, drove prices sky high, then dumped everything at the peak, leaving thousands of investors holding worthless shares. Wall Street calls it pump and dump. At Stratton Oakmont, they called it Tuesday. By the early 90s, the firm exploded. Stratton wasn't a brokerage anymore. It was a circus. Screaming phones, air horns, testosterone, $2,000 suits, enough drugs to hospitalize an elephant. Jordan built a system where fear and loyalty were currency. Top performers lived like kings, bonuses, vacations, Rolex watches thrown across rooms like candy. Underperformers, humiliated, fired, replaced within hours. The parties were legendary. Strippers in conference rooms, champagne everywhere, cocaine lines on compliance documents. Nothing sacred, not furniture, not company vehicles. Someone once filled a fire extinguisher with whipped cream and tequila. Jordan called it asset protection. The FBI called it money laundering. Inside Stratton, things deteriorated. Drug use shifted from celebration to necessity. Quaaludes, cocaine. People passed out during calls. One broker seized on the sales floor. Fights erupted over commissions, women, or just too much aggression. Jordan was unraveling faster than his company. His marriage crumbling. Pills hidden everywhere. He once crashed his Ferrari while high with his 3-year-old daughter in the passenger seat. Then came the yacht disaster. June 1996. Against his captain's warnings, Jordan insisted they sail from Italy to Sardinia during a massive storm. Drunk, high, convinced he was untouchable. The yacht started taking on water in the middle of the Mediterranean. On board, Jordan, his wife, their daughter, over $2 million in jewelry and narcotics. The Italian Navy had to rescue them. The yacht was destroyed. Jordan survived, but something inside him broke. Back in New York, walls were closing in. Journalists from Forbes and Wall Street Journal were investigating. Former employees were talking. But most dangerous was Gregory Coleman, an FBI agent who didn't just see red flags. He smelled blood. Coleman quietly assembled evidence, pulled cold call scripts, subpoenaed wire records, tracked real estate purchases that didn't match reported income, found Jordan withdrawing $50,000 at a time in cashier's checks laundered through casinos and art galleries. What Jordan didn't know? Some of his own brokers had flipped. One caught on separate fraud charges, another burned by unpaid bonuses. They wore wires, recorded calls, turned over files. Drop a like if you think what happened next was insane, because it gets even crazier. October 1996, federal agents raided Stratton Oakmont. Arrived at sunrise. Phones ripped from desks, filing cabinets emptied, hard drives copied, employees questioned. Someone tried flushing documents. Another walked out with a briefcase full of shredded contracts. Didn't matter. The FBI had everything. But Jordan still wasn't done. Early 1997, while under investigation and explicitly told not to move money, he wired $2 million to Switzerland. The transaction was traced. The conversation was recorded. That single transfer unraveled everything. The chase was over. By late 1998, Belfort was cornered. The FBI had recordings. The SEC had filings. The empire built on lies finally collapsed. He faced 30 years in federal prison. Wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering. charges that could bury him permanently. So, Jordan did what he always did. He sold. Not stocks this time. Information. He flipped, cooperated, wore a wire. One by one, people who once worshipped him were handed over like receipts. Over 30 employees indicted. Brokers, partners, friends. Some joined Stratton straight out of high school, learned everything from Jordan, followed his playbook, now paying for it. Some served more time than he did. Jordan, 22 months in minimum security. No fences, no cells. Guards didn't even carry weapons. He played tennis mornings, lifted weights afternoons, and at night, he wrote. That's where he met Tommy Chong, the comedian, serving time for selling bongs online. Jordan told him everything. The drugs, the yacht, the cash envelopes, the lies that became lifestyle. Some joined Stratton straight out of high school, learned everything from Jordan, followed his playbook, now paying